Hello everyone and welcome to Hydra EVC's installer training for our primarily domestic product which can also be used in commercial applications, the Hydra Zodiac. Today we'll be discussing the internal components, the different models and also how to commission the app itself. My name's Jay Lawless. Some of you may have heard about myself already as I head up the installer network for Hydra. I look forward to showing you guys what we do. Thank you. Okay, so to begin with, we're going to show you the internal components of the Zodiac and a couple of the different models that we have here, and also how to wire into the unit if you're not using the Easy Connect junction box. Which leads me nicely to start with the junction box itself. You can feel free to use the box using a live, neutral and PE connection. Alternatively, you can remove this and wire straight into the unit using your own wiring. Now, stock that we currently have contains the junction box, however moving forward it will be discontinued. In terms of powering up the unit itself, as mentioned, it needs a PE, neutral and live connection. If you are unsure which way to wire the unit, it will be difficult to see with the camera, but it does say on the board itself in here or either on the side, but you can feel free to give us a call or email us at any point to discuss. Now, as you can see here, we have two different models. One, older stock, has a CT loose, which needs to be connected through the live connection with the wiring on the CT, the black and red wire, facing the board itself. Obviously, if you remove the junction box, you will need to wire in the connection and connect or feed through the live connection and just ensure that the CT is facing the same way. This is for older stock, and like the junction box, once we run out, the CT will no longer be loose, it will be on the board itself. So you won't need to wire the live cable through the CT. The CT is not for active load management, it's purely to measure the current and the power. Now, in terms of specifics for our circuit board here, this LED connection, this ribbon, is the LED connection that you see when the unit is powered up and provides the power for the light. Here we've got a Wi-Fi antenna. At the moment it's stuck on this front plate, however new stock will be stuck here. We also have the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth reset button over here, and this connection is for the gun control in terms of locking and unlocking the tether. Now, if at any point you have any issues on your installation, it's important to check that all of these components are intact, and also just make sure that none of the wiring is loose in any section of the board. Right, okay, now we're going to show you how to commission the app with the chargepoint. The user or the customer will need to go to the Apple Store or the Google Store and type in Hydra Home to find the app. First, we'll go through creating an account. So first, the user will need to enter in their email address and hit send to retrieve a verification code that authenticates that the email is actually theirs. The code can be meant to be sent to the inbox, but can also be found in junk or spam. Have 3 minutes to use the code. If not, you'll need to hit send again. Here you can see the email's been received. So what I'll need to do is enter this code. I've chosen the username Hydra1234. There's no particular format for this. With the password, there needs to be at least one capital, one lowercase letter, and one number. You can have special characters, but that's not compulsory. As you can see here, something like this will work okay. And hit sign up. When it comes to logging into the app, The account section, you need to enter in the email address, and the password is the chosen password that the customer's used. When you first log in or first create an account, it will advise you that you need to create a household, which is basically an account with the account that's used for separate households. So if Joe Bloggs has one charger at his work that he owns, and then he has another charger at his home property, he can manage and control both of these charge points under the one account. So I'll click here to begin. Household name, I'll just call it Unit 11 because that's where we are in Hydra. The randomised delay, as I'm sure you're aware, the government brought in the legislation that when configuring a charge point, it must have a default randomised delay of 600 seconds. The user can change this from anywhere up to 0 seconds or 1,800 seconds. I'm just going to keep it to 20 for the sake of this video. And you can also enter in your electricity tariffs or the user's electricity tariffs. If the user has one flat rate, they can just enter in the day tariff and put the time from 12 AM until 11:59 PM, such as this. And what this would do is this would calculate their electricity tariff when they're charging throughout the whole day. Alternatively, if the user does have two separate rates, they can enter in the day rate and the night rate. So in this example, our day rate will be from 7 AM until 10 PM. So I just change the times to 7 AM and 10 PM for the day rate to operate. So the night rate here will start at 10 PM and will end at 7 AM. Again, if the customer isn't sure of their rates, they can just leave this out for now, or they can leave it out if they're not really interested. The household maximum load is for dynamic load management, but we haven't actually got this feature yet, so don't worry about it now. When we do have the feature, we'll let you know in due course. If there's other household members that need to operate the charge point, the main account holder can invite others by clicking the add button here. The other user will need to create an account before they can be invited. So I invite our installs email, for example. And there you go, they'll be able to see the household information and start and stop charge. And notes can be anything they would like to add, it doesn't really matter on this. Okay, next we'll add a charge point. Firstly, make sure that the Bluetooth for the user's phone is on, as that is what the connection is to connect the phone to the charge point itself. And we'll also need the user's Wi-Fi details, so name and password. So to add the charge point, on the home page, click add charge point, connect device, and then choose the serial number that matches the serial number that's on the unit itself or the box that it came in, and then pair charge point. Now you need to enter in the Wi-Fi details exactly as they appear on the router. And then once you've entered in the details, click connect to network, and it may take a few moments to load, but as you can see here, once there's been a successful connection, the user's advised and taken back to the home page, where we nicely move on to creating a profile or keeping the default profile if necessary. So the default profile, which is automatically assigned to charge points, runs from 8 AM to 11 AM and 4 PM till 10 PM. So this means if the user's charge point is plugged in during any of these times, the charge point will start the charging session. So the customer can opt to keep the default charging profile or create their own, or use the plug and play charging profile, which is automatically loaded onto the account. So click the three dots and the diamond at the top left in order to create your own profile, charging profile settings. Now, as you can see here, the plug and charge, or plug and play as it's also known, is here as an option. This basically means if the user decides to assign this charging profile to their charge point, whenever they plug in their EV to the charge point, the charge will begin straight away and there's no requirement for pre-authorization. Now, if you want to create our own charging profile, just click Add New Charge Point or Add New Charging Profile. Firstly, choose a profile name. Then select the days that they wish to operate. So we're just going to do weekdays here. And then next, choose a time. Say, for example, in our tariff, we chose the night tariff, for example. It runs between 10 PM till 7 AM. If you have a favourable rate, I imagine most users want to take advantage of charging at these times to get a better cost. So here we will select 10 PM through till 7 AM. So just to confirm, this charging profile means that on days between Monday to Friday, when the charge point is plugged into the EV between these two times, charging sessions will begin. So once you're happy with that, confirm and create your new profile. And we're not done yet. What you'll need to do is assign this profile to the charge point by going onto the home page, clicking options, assign charging profile and weekdays. As you can see here, the user is notified of which charging profile they currently have in play. So you have weekdays here. The other information you have is the current state of the charge point. Idle means that the charge point is in a ready state to be plugged in to begin charging. If it says plugged, it means that the charge point has a tether plugged into it and it's ready to start charging. And if it is fault, that means that there is a fault with the charge point and the user or the installer will need to call us to investigate. Here it states whether the charge point is online or offline. You've got the serial number here, the type tether that it incorporates, the power output, and whether it's socket or tether. Okay, so there's an important thing to point out with regards to the online connection with the charge point and the app itself. So sometimes when you first connect the charge point, the app can display as online, but the physical charge point itself isn't, as there can be a few moments delay from the charge point syncing with the platform once online connection has been established. So when checking the physical charge point itself, there's three colours first of all. You've got blue, which means it's in an idle ready state. You've got green, which means it's charging, and you've got red, which means that it's in a fault state. Now, with regards to being online and offline, these colours remain the same, but when they're offline, the colour will be flashing. It will almost be pulsing, and when the charge point is online, the colour will be solid. It won't be flashing at all. So it's important to check that when you have the online status on the app, the LED of the charge point itself is in a solid state. So the user can override their charging profile. Say for example, in the profile that I've got here is set to charge between 10 PM and 7 AM. If the customer's running low on charge and they need to make a trip earlier on in the day, they can start charging now. And how this is done is by plugging in the EV, and I'll show you in a moment. This dull grey colour will be illuminated and it means they can start a session. So right now it's dull and it's idle, so it means that the charger's in a ready state but it's not plugged in. So I'll just plug the tether into the charger now. So what the user will need to do is click the refresh button in the top right to get a latest status of the charger. As you can see, our charger's now plugged and we can start charging. The user is advised that if they start charging now, it will override any charging session, any charging profile that they do have in place. If they wish to go ahead, they can just click yes. If they wish to charge now, they can just click charge now and start charging. And as you can see here, the app informs them that the charge point will start charging in 13 seconds. I did choose a randomized delay of 20 seconds, which is why the charge won't start straight away. And as soon as the charge does begin, the user is taken to the real charging information page. It can take a few moments for it to load. If they are impatient and would like to know straight away, you can just click the back arrow and then click the progressive loading bar you can see here. And then the real information is being displayed. I'm just using an EV tester in the office, so the power is not very high, but you get the gist. And in order to stop charging, it's as simple as clicking stop charging. Okay, and now I'll show you how to charge by setting a parameter. So the parameter options available to the user will be seen here. Firstly, we have charge by time. So this would be a set amount of time. So if I just wanted to charge for an hour, I'd simply click an hour. Next, we have time schedule. So this is setting a date and time that the charge point will charge the EV. So say I wanted to charge today at 4 p.m, I'd select the date and then select the time. I also need to select the time that the charging will end. So today, we'll just do for a couple of hours. So this will enable my charge point to charge today from 4 p.m. until 6 p.m. Then we also have total energy. If the customer only wants to charge for 10 kilowatts worth of energy, they can just enter 10. And finally, the user can choose to charge by cost. Say they wanted to just charge for £5 worth of energy, they just need to put £5. And where we've previously set the electricity tariffs, the app can calculate this based on the tariff they've entered and the energy that the charge point's using. And then click start charging. And again, the randomised delay is select 12 seconds this time around. And once those 12 seconds have lapsed, we'll be taken to the real-time charging information page again. Yep, and there we go. So next what we have is the records page, which displays historical charging information. It's default set to show weekly information, but you can change what week you can view by pressing the calendar and selecting another week. Say for example, last week. You can also opt to view monthly information by clicking week on the right hand side and changing it to month. And here I can view all of August's statistical information. I can also view my personal charging information or the whole household. So that would be anyone else I've invited to operate the charge point in this account by clicking household. You can also export your charging information to an Excel file which will be sent to your email address by clicking the download button here and selecting the period of time that you'd like to view information from. So if I go from August the 1st until August the 31st, and it says success, and that means you should be receiving an email, or the user should be receiving an email to their email address. In order to see individual charging information, you click the filter button on the top right and just scroll down, and like you can see here, this is all the individual charging information. And that'll be all for records. So finally, it's on the Me page. By clicking the bottom right, the user can see their username, the email address that they've used for this account. They can send us feedback by clicking the feedback button. In settings, they can change their password. Notifications, they can see when their charge is connected online or offline. When a charging profile is due to begin, it will alert the user so they know that they need to plug their EV in, otherwise they won't charge during their schedule. And a security log which is due to come into play later on in the year when the new Schedule 1 regs kick in. So that'll be all for the commissioning on the app. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out, drop me an email or give us a call. Yeah, thank you very much.